Welcome everyone to vpod.ai. This deep dive is proudly sponsored by Stonefly, your trusted solution provider and advisor in enterprise storage, backup disaster recovery, hyper-converged VMware, Hyper-V, Proximox cluster, AI servers, public and private cloud. Check out stonefly.com for more info.
Today, we're diving deep into Apple's latest big announcement, the new iOS 26.
And yeah, it's quite a big one. Our goal here is really to unpack what these changes actually mean for how you use your iPhone, day to day.
Right, because this isn't just a minor tweak.
Not at all. It's a major release. We're talking a whole new look, smarter experiences baked in, and pretty significant updates to a lot of the core apps you probably use all the time.
Okay, so let's jump right in. The most visible change, the thing you'll see first.
Right.
The design, and actually even the name itself.
Exactly. Let's start with the name. So they're shifting how they number the OS. Instead of just going sequential, like, iOS 19 maybe.
Which you might expect, yeah.
Right. They're aligning it with the year. So iOS 26 comes out fall 2025, makes it really clear which version is current. Simple enough. You see 26, you know it's the software for this cycle.
Yeah. But the much bigger story is the visual overhaul. They've got this new term for it, liquid glass.
Liquid glass. Okay, that sounds interesting. What does that actually look like? What's the vibe?
So the core idea is this new translucent material effect. Think polished glass almost. It reflects and refracts what's around it, kind of subtly.
Okay.
And the goal seems to be to draw your focus to the content itself, the stuff on the screen, while adding this feeling of, like, vitality and depth.
And the inspiration is VisionOS.
That's what they're saying, yeah.
Yeah.
Bringing some of that layered spatial feel from the headset over to the iPhone.
So where are we going to see this liquid glass look? Is it just in certain apps or?
No, it's meant to be system-wide. So
Yeah.
controls, navigation bars, app icons, widgets.
Lock screen, home screen.
Yep, all of that.
Yeah.
It's intended as a consistent visual language for the whole OS.
Okay, can you give us some concrete examples? Like, how does it change the lock screen?
Sure. So on the lock screen, the time readout will now sort of intelligently adapt its look and position based on your wallpaper photo. Finds the best spot.
Ah, so it doesn't clash with the subject.
Right. And if you use those spatial scene wallpapers, they'll have this subtle 3D effect, reacting a bit as you move the phone. Makes it feel more alive.
That sounds pretty neat, actually. Less static.
Yeah.
What about icons and widgets?
They're getting new customization options. One is described as a stunning clear look, which sounds like it really leans into that translucent glassy theme.
And inside apps.
You'll see changes there too, like a more streamlined layout in the camera app. The Photos app is getting clearer separation, with dedicated tabs for your library and collections.
Okay.
And Safari web pages are apparently designed to flow more seamlessly, top to bottom, showing you more content without feeling cluttered.
Showing more content is always good. What about apps like Apple Music or podcasts? The navigation at the bottom.
Yeah, the tab bars in those apps are getting redesigned. They sort of float above the content now. As you scroll down, the bar can shrink or become less prominent.
How interesting.
And then it expands again when you scroll back up.
Yeah.
It's meant to feel more fluid, less like a fixed block at the bottom.
And importantly for app makers, developers get tools to use this stuff too.
Yes, exactly. New APIs so they can build interfaces using these liquid glass materials. That should help third-party apps feel consistent with the system look.
Right, so it's a foundational change. Okay, moving on. This is where things get really interesting, I think. The intelligence side. Apple Intelligence.
Yeah, this is a massive theme for iOS 26. The core idea they keep stressing is that it's built with privacy first, starting right on the device. And it's all about helping you get things done more easily.
Okay, let's break down some of the specific features. Live translation sounds incredibly useful.
It really does. It's baked right into the main communication apps. So you get text translation in messages,
Okay.
live captions translating speech during FaceTime calls, and even spoken translations during regular phone calls.
And the key is the privacy aspect.
Absolutely. For sensitive things like your conversations, the processing happens on device. Your data isn't going off to the cloud for the translation itself.
That's huge. That on-device part is crucial. What about visual intelligence, understanding what's on screen?
This one's pretty powerful. It basically lets you search or take action based on what you're seeing in almost any app.
So like?
Well, imagine you see something interesting on a website or maybe in a photo. You could ask Apple Intelligence or even connect it to something like ChatGPT to get more info about what's on screen. Or say you see a product you like. You could potentially search Google or Etsy for similar items. just based on the image on your screen.
That's useful.
And it goes further. It can recognize things like dates, times, locations, if they appear on screen, maybe in a message, and proactively suggest adding that event to your calendar, filling in the details.
So it's understanding the context, not just recognizing text or objects.
Exactly. Moving beyond simple recognition. Then there's the creative side.
Genmoji, image playground.
Right. New ways to express yourself. You can generate images by mixing emoji, these new Genmoji things, and text descriptions. Image Playground might even get style options from models like ChatGPT eventually.
So custom images on the fly. How does this intelligence tie into shortcuts?
Shortcuts are getting boosted with intelligent actions. These are like new building blocks for your shortcuts, powered by Apple Intelligence. So you could say, trigger the writing tools or Image Playground as part of an automated workflow.
Okay. And you mentioned something practical order tracking.
Yes, this sounds really handy. Apple Intelligence can automatically find order tracking details in your emails.
Oh, nice.
And summarize them, putting them all in one place. Even if you didn't use Apple Pay for the purchase, it's about cutting through email clutter.
That alone could be a huge time saver. No more digging through emails for tracking numbers.
Definitely. And for developers, there's a new foundation models framework. This lets their apps tap into Apple's core on-device AI model.
Meaning
Other apps can potentially use this intelligence for fast, private, offline AI tasks without needing to send your data anywhere. It extends the capabilities beyond just Apple's apps.
so the potential grows as developers adopt it.
Precisely. Opens up a lot of possibilities down the road.
Okay, let's shift gears. Connecting with people. Phone and messages. Updates focused on smarter communication, maybe fewer interruptions.
Yeah, starting with the phone app. Visually, they're unifying favorites, recents, and voicemails into one view. More streamlined. But the bigger deals are about handling calls, especially unknown ones.
Ah, yes. The dreaded unknown caller. What's new?
There's a feature called call screening. It sort of builds on live voicemail. When an unknown number calls, your phone can automatically ask the caller for their name and why they're calling, and then it transcribes their response live on your screen before your phone even rings loudly. So you see who it is and what they want, and then decide whether to pick up.
Wow. That sounds like a game changer for filtering spam calls. Truthfully.
It really could be. And then there's something for when you're the one calling, stuck on hold.
Hold music. Tell me more.
It's called Hold Assist. If you're on hold with a business, your iPhone can listen in, basically, and notify you when a live person actually comes back on the line.
Huh. Okay, that's clever. Saves you from having the phone glued to your ear.
Hopefully. Those two could really improve the phone experience.
Yeah.
Now, over in Messages, how are they handling unknown senders?
Similar idea.
Pretty much. Messages from numbers not in your contacts can be filtered into a separate folder. They're silenced until you explicitly accept the conversation. Helps keep your main inbox cleaner. Spam detection is also improved.
Like a quarantine zone for potential junk texts. What about chats with people you do know? Any fun stuff?
Yeah, a few things. You can set custom backgrounds for individual chats, now system ones, or your own photos. And everyone in the chat sees the same background.
Adds a personal touch.
Definitely. And you can create polls directly in a conversation thread. Finally.
Yes, long overdue.
And Apple Intelligence might even suggest creating a poll if it sees a question being asked in the group.
Proactive polls. Okay. Anything else for group chats?
You'll see typing indicators now so you know who's actively writing. And Apple Cash integration is getting better. You can request, send, and receive money right within the group chat flow. Easier to split things.
Okay, so making messages more functional, controllable, maybe a bit more expressive.
Seems to be the goal, yeah. Smarter, less intrusive communication.
All right, let's broaden out. How do these updates affect other apps we use every day? CarPlay, for instance.
CarPlay gets the liquid glass design refresh. So it should look nicer, maybe be a bit easier to use while driving.
How does that play out visually in the car?
Well, incoming calls get a new compact notification view. It pops up at the top so it doesn't block your map directions.
That's crucial.
Definitely. You'll also get tapbacks in messages within CarPlay, and you can see your pinned conversations.
And widgets, live activities. Can you see those in the car now?
Yes, widgets and live activities are supported. So you can glance at, say, sports scores or delivery updates without having to fumble with your phone. Keep your focus more on the road.
And these updates apply to CarPlay Ultra, too, the deeper integration.
Yes, applies across the board for CarPlay experiences.
Good stuff for drivers. What about Apple Music? Anything new for music fans?
A couple of interesting things related to lyrics. First, Lyrics translation helps you understand what songs mean if they're in another language.
Okay, that's handy.
And maybe more unique, lyrics pronunciation. It actually helps you sing along correctly, phonetically, regardless of the language.
Whoa, lyrics pronunciation, that's
Yeah.
ambitious. Could be fun for karaoke attempts.
Could be. And there's Automix. This uses intelligence for like DJ-style transitions between songs in your playlists or queue.
How does that work?
It uses techniques like time stretching and beat matching to blend songs together smoothly. No more awkward silences between tracks. Creates a continuous flow.
Nice. Great for workouts or parties.
Mhm.
Okay, shifting to maps. Getting around.
Maps has a new optional feature called Visited Places. If you turn it on, your phone remembers where you've been.
Uh-huh. Privacy.
Big emphasis here. They say it's end-to-end encrypted, so only you can see that history. You can view all your visited spots right within the Maps app, like a private travel log.
Okay. What about daily routes? Commutes?
Maps will start learning your preferred routes for regular trips, like home to work. Then it can proactively show you that route, warn you about delays on that specific route, and suggest alternatives if needed.
So personalized traffic info based on your actual habits, that could be really useful. And finally, wallet.
Well, it gets some tweaks for physical world stuff. When you pay in-store with Apple Pay, you might see options to use installment plans or apply reward points right there during checkout.
Oh, integrating loyalty and financing into the tap.
Seems like it. And for travel, boarding passes are getting refreshed. They'll show live activities for real-time flight updates, gate changes, delays.
Right on the pass itself.
Yeah. And quick links to relevant info, like airport maps, find my status for your luggage, even an option to report a missing bag directly from the boarding pass interface.
Turning the pass into more of a dynamic travel assistant.
Same.
Smart. And there's a big one, digital ID from passports.
Yes, for U.S. passports initially, you can create a digital version and potentially use it at TSA checkpoints or in apps and places that accept digital IDs for verification.
That's a major step towards a digital wallet replacing physical cards.
It really seems like the direction, yeah, making those real-world interactions smoother.
Okay, so we've covered the big areas: design, intelligence, communication, key apps. But there was a whole list of other smaller but still notable enhancements too, right?
Absolutely, a bunch of them. There's a totally new Apple Games app, a single place to find your games, see updates, track challenges.
Dedicated gaming hub.
Okay.
AirPods.
Newer models get some audio upgrades, studio quality recording for calls and video, and a neat camera remote feature. Press the stem to snap a photo or start-stop video on your connected iPhone or iPad.
Handy. Parental controls.
Enhancements there too. Easier setup for child accounts. Better communication limits and safety features things like approving contact requests, blurring sensitive stuff in FaceTime or shared albums, requesting exceptions for app age ratings, more granular control.
Good for parents. Safari privacy. Anything new?
Yeah, the advanced fingerprinting protection, which makes it harder for sites to track you across the web. But that's now turned on by default for all browsing, not just private browsing.
Oh, wow. Default on is a big step. Accessibility.
Always updates there. New things like accessibility reader, braille access improvements, updates to live listen, background sounds, personal voice. They're aiming for, quote, a new level of accessibility.
Good to see continued focus there. Reminders getting smarter.
Yep, thanks to Apple Intelligence. It can suggest tasks based on things it sees in your emails or messages and automatically categorize items in your list.
And Photos app.
We mentioned the Library Collections tabs. Also integrates that spatial scenes 3D effect for wallpapers we talked about earlier.
Clock app snooze times.
A small but potentially life-changing one for some. You can customize the snooze duration now, anywhere from 1 to 15 minutes.
Finally. Okay, and journal app updates.
Support for multiple journals, so you can keep different logs separate, inline images within entries, and a map view to see where you made entry.
Okay, lots of refinements across the board. So when can people actually get iOS 26?
Developer beta is out now. Public beta is planned for next month, July. And the final release, the free update for everyone, comes this fall.
And which iPhones get the main update?
It's for iPhone 11 and later models.
The Apple Intelligence features, the really smart stuff like live translation, visual intelligence, the AI and reminders, those have different requirements, right?
Yes, they do. Those need more processing power. So they'll be on all the upcoming iPhone 16 models, the current iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max,
Okay.
the iPad mini with the A17 Pro chip, and any iPad or Mac with an M1 chip or newer. You also need Apple Intelligence enabled and the language set correctly.
Right. And the initial languages are English, French, German, Italian, Portuguese from Brazil, Spanish, Japanese, Korean, and simplified Chinese. More coming later.
Correct. And, standard disclaimer, features can change before the final release. Availability might vary by region.
Of course. So let's try to sum this up. What's the overall story Apple is telling with iOS 26? What does it mean for the iPhone experience?
Well, looking at everything, it feels like they're aiming for an iPhone that's, one, visually fresh and more expressive with that liquid glass design, two, significantly more helpful and proactive because of Apple Intelligence being woven through everything, and three, just more functional and streamlined in those core areas, communication, getting around, paying for things, thanks to the app updates.
So making the phone feel more dynamic, smarter, and maybe a bit less distracting or cumbersome in daily use.
That seems to be the goal, yeah.
Yeah.
Anticipating needs, simplifying tasks, cutting down friction.
When you look at this whole package, what's the one thing that really jumps out at you? What feature are you most curious about personally?
The call screening and hold assist features, they just feel so incredibly practical,
Yeah.
like solving actual common annoyances.
Yeah, those are very tangible benefits.
But the bigger potential, I think, lies in that visual intelligence. The idea that the phone can understand and let you act on anything on the screen, that could really change how we interact with information across different apps, make things feel much more connected.
That cross-app understanding does feel like a potential step change. And thinking about that broader intelligence, it leads to a final thought, maybe. As our devices get this smart screening calls, learning routes, suggesting things based on our private messages or emails, how do we manage that? How do you balance the undeniable convenience with, keeping control over our own information and maybe even our own focus?
That is the question, isn't it? Apple emphasizes the on-device processing, the encryption. But the sheer amount of context, the phone now has access to what you're looking at, who's calling, what you're typing it, really requires us as users to be aware of the settings, aware of how we use these features. It's definitely a balancing act between letting the tech help us and making sure we're still in the driver's seat.
Well said. It puts the responsibility back on us to understand and manage these powerful tools.
It does.
Okay, and on that note, we want to give one last huge thank you to our sponsor, Stonefly. Check out stonefly.com for more info, and definitely ask them about that amazing offer, a 100 TB immutable and air-gapped SSO for just $8,995. That's serious data protection.
Yeah, a really compelling package for businesses looking at robust storage and security.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into iOS 26.